I called to ask about the wedding plans, and she said, "We're already married, Mom. We kept it small, just the people who matter most. Just mail the cabin keys and don't make a scene." I forced a smile, said congratulations, and hung up. 3 days later, I left a wedding gift at their door that had her husband shouting in a way I'll never forget. "If you're reading this, I'd love to know where you're from. Let me tell you how I got here." Because this story didn't begin with that call. It started 2 years ago when my daughter, Emily, brought home Nathan for the first time. I'm Suzanne, 62, a retired and until that phone call, I thought I knew my daughter inside and out. That Emily and I had always been close, the kind of close where we'd talk for hours over coffee about her dreams, her job, her latest book obsession. I raised her alone after her father walked out when she was 6, leaving us with nothing but a pile of debt and a rented apartment. We built a life together, just the two of us, and every summer, we'd escape to our family cabin in the Adirondacks, a modest place my parents left me, worth maybe $350,000 now, where Emily learned to fish and we'd spend nights stargazing. When Emily, then 29 and a graphic designer with her own apartment in Albany, introduced me to Nathan, I wanted to love him. "Mom, he's special," she said that first evening, her eyes bright as she chopped vegetables for my signature pot roast. Nathan arrived at my house on Maple Street in Syracuse, dressed in a crisp blazer, carrying a bottle of Pinot Noir and a bouquet of lilies. He was charming, with a warm smile and a knack for asking just the right questions about my years teaching 3rd grade. "You must have endless patience," he said, leaning forward, shaping all those young minds. It felt sincere, but something about his polished delivery made my skin prickle, like I was watching a performance. Over dinner, he praised the roast, helped clear plates, and even offered to load the dishwasher. "You've raised an incredible woman, Susan," he said, squeezing Emily's hand. "I can see where she gets her strength." I smiled, but I noticed how he mentioned the cabin twice, once asking about its history, then joking about how he'd love to borrow it for a weekend escape. I brushed it off. Emily was radiant, and I told myself I was just being protective. But that night, as I recounted the evening to my friend Linda over tea, I couldn't shake the unease. Nathan reminded me of Emily's father, Greg, charming, attentive, until he wasn't. Greg had a way of making you feel like the center of his world, then discarding you when he got what he wanted. "He's just enthusiastic," Linda said. "He wants to fit in." I wanted to believe her. Over the next few months, Nathan wove himself into Emily's life like ivy climbing a wall. Our daily calls dwindled to weekly texts, then sporadic messages. "Nathan thinks I should focus on us," Emily said when I asked why she'd gone quiet. "He says couples need to build their own world." I nodded, swallowing my worry. She was an adult, thriving in her career, and I didn't want to be the clingy mom. But then, I wasn't invited to their engagement party. I found out about the engagement on Instagram, a photo of Emily's hand, a sparkling emerald-cut ring, captioned, "Forever starts now." #engaged. 78 likes, comments from friends, none mentioning me. I stared at the post on March 12, 2024, my tea going cold in my hands. My daughter was engaged, and I'd learned about it online. I called her immediately. "Mom, I'm so sorry," she said, her voice bubbling with excitement. "It happened last night at this little bistro Nathan loves. We got caught up, and I was going to tell you today, I swear." "Tell me everything," I said, forcing cheer. She described the proposal-a-thon, on one knee, a violinist playing, his parents toasting them afterward. "The engagement party's next weekend," she added. "Small, just his family, and a few friends. Can I come?" I asked, my heart sinking. A pause. "Nathan's mom is super traditional, and they're keeping it intimate. His family has this whole vision. You get it, right?" I didn't get it. "What do you think, Emily?" "I think Nathan knows his family best. We'll do something with you soon, I promise." That was 8 months ago. That something never happened. The wedding planning unfolded without me. Emily mentioned details in passing, a venue in the Cats, a florist, a dress, but when I offered to help, she'd say, "Nathan's got it covered," or "his mom knows someone." I felt like a guest in her life. 3 months ago, I asked about the wedding date so I could take time off from my part-time job at the community center. "We're aiming for late September," she said. "Nathan's researching venues." "The cabin would be beautiful in fall," I suggested, picturing Emily's childhood dream of a wedding by the lake, fairy lights twinkling under the pines. "No, Mom. Nathan wants something classier, like a historic estate." Her words stung. The cabin was our sanctuary, where she'd once planned her dream wedding, barefoot by the water. 2 weeks ago, on a quiet Tuesday evening, August 5th, 2025, Emily called while I was folding laundry. "Mom, I need to talk, and please don't freak out." My stomach nodded. "What's wrong?" "Nathan's been reading about healthy marriages," she said. "He thinks I rely on you too much, like calling you when I'm stressed instead of leaning on him. He says it could hurt us long term. Talking to your mom isn't a problem." "Emily," I said, my voice tight. "He showed me articles about women who put their mothers above their husbands. It messes things up. I don't want that." I closed my eyes, recognizing the tactic. Nathan was pulling her away, making her question our bond. "What does this mean for us?" I asked. "We need boundaries, less contact, more space for Nathan and me to create our own traditions. And he thinks we should spend Christmas with his family this year, to break old patterns." Christmas, our tradition since Greg left. We'd bake cookies, watch old movies, and open gifts by the cabin's fireplace. "Anything else?" I asked, barely breathing. "Yeah. Nathan thinks the cabin complicates things. He feels like it's your place, not ours. If we ever fought, you could take it away. He wants us to have our own spot." "Are you asking me to give you the cabin?" "Not exactly. He just thinks it'd be better if we bought our own place, somewhere that's ours." I gripped the phone, my mind racing. The cabin wasn't just a house. It was our history, where Emily caught her first fish, where we grieved Greg's abandonment together. "I'll think about it," I said, ending the call. But I wasn't thinking about giving up the cabin. I was thinking about Nathan. That week, I started digging. I called Emily's old college roommate, Claire, who mentioned Nathan's name sounding familiar. A few Google searches and a call to a friend's son who worked in finance uncovered a pattern. Nathan Hayes wasn't just controlling, he was a con artist. There was Lily, whose family owned a vineyard, cut off from her parents before Nathan tried to transfer her trust fund. Before her, there was Rachel, whose inheritance he'd nearly drained before her brother stepped in. Nathan targeted successful women with family assets, and Emily, with her career in the cabin, was his latest prize. The phone call that changed everything came on September 24th, 2025. As I watered my gardenias, Emily's voice was cold, rehearsed. "Mom, we got married yesterday. Small ceremony, just Nathan's family and a few friends, yesterday." I choked out. I thought September was just the planning phase. Nathan wanted something low-key. "We found a venue in the Catskills, kept it simple." "Simple," I repeated. "And you didn't invite me." "Mom, don't be dramatic." "Nathan wanted it small. And after our talks about boundaries, I thought you'd understand." "Congratulations," I said, my voice hollow. "Sounds beautiful. Thanks. Oh, and can you send the cabin keys? We're thinking of honeymooning there, since we didn't plan a big trip." "The keys," I echoed. "Nathan's excited about the cabin." "Yeah, he loves the idea. I've told him all about it." "When you say married, do you mean legally?" "We got the license last week. Ceremony yesterday." "Why?" "Just curious." "I'll send the keys." I hung up, my hands shaking. Nathan hadn't just isolated Emily, he'd erased me from her wedding to secure access to the cabin, but he'd miscalculated. He didn't know the woman he'd pushed out of her daughter's life. I spent the next 2 days researching, calling, and planning. I barely slept, pacing my kitchen with endless cups of chamomile tea, double-checking records and making notes until my hand ached. By Thursday evening, I had a wedding gift that would unravel Nathan's lies. I drove to their apartment in Albany, a 20-minute trip from my house, and left a sleek black box tied with a silver ribbon outside their door. Inside was a folder with documents, labeled, "For Emily and Nathan, with love, Susan." My note read, "Every couple deserves to know their shared history. Congratulations." At 3:42 p.m., on Friday, my phone rang. Nathan's voice was venomous. "What kind of sick game are you playing, Susan? This is harassment." "Hello, Nathan," I said calmly, sipping chamomile tea. "I take it you opened the gift." "This is insane. I'm calling the cops." "For what?" "A mother-in-law giving her daughter public records." I heard Emily sobbing in the background. "Let me talk to her," I said. "No way. You're trying to ruin us," Nathan shouted. "This is poison. Poison. I just thought you'd enjoy learning about your family ties." The documents told a story Nathan didn't expect me to uncover. His father, Richard Hayes, had been a business partner of my ex-husband, Greg. In a failed real estate venture in 1995, Richard had siphoned $1.8 million from their joint account, leaving Greg bankrupt and forcing us into years of financial struggle. A 1997 article from the Syracuse Post-Standard detailed Richard's fraud, how he'd fled to Nevada, and how the money was never recovered. But the real bombshell was a 2001 deposition where Richard admitted to hiding funds in offshore accounts Nathan had been accessing since 2020. According to bank records I'd obtained through a private investigator, those funds, now worth $3.2 million, legally belonged to Greg's estate, and since Greg died in 2022, they belonged to Emily. Nathan, I said, my voice steady. I included contact info for Greg's estate lawyer. They're eager to discuss those accounts. Invoice number 3921, $1.8 million, dated June 3, 1995. Sound familiar? You're lying, he spat, but his voice cracked. I'm a teacher. We stick to facts. Check with Richard's attorney in Reno. They have quite the paper trail. Emily's voice broke through, tearful. Mom, what's going on? Read the documents, sweetheart, I said. Then call me. I hung up and waited. At 7:15 p.m., Emily called, her voice raw. Mom, is it true? Nathan's dad stole from Dad. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. The records show $1.8 million taken in 1995. Your father never recovered it. Nathan's been using that money for years. How did you know? I recognized the name Hayes from your father's old files. I started digging. She was quiet. Then, I found emails on his laptop. He's been talking to someone about securing the funds since before we met. And I called Lily Turner. She told me everything, how Nathan cut her off from her family, tried to access her vineyard's accounts. It's the same playbook. I'm here, Emily, I said. What do you need? I need to end this, she said, her voice hardening. He's not getting away with it. We spent the next week planning. Nathan disappeared for 2 days, texting Emily apologies and promises to work things out. Classic predator move: retreat, regroup, manipulate. But Emily was done. She met with Greg's estate lawyer, Karen Patel, on Monday, September 29, 2025. The news was staggering. Emily was entitled to the $3.2 million, plus interest, totaling $4.5 million. Better yet, Nathan's recent withdrawals constituted criminal fraud, prosecutable under federal law. Karen connected us with an FBI agent, Michael Torres, who'd been tracking Nathan's pattern after complaints from Lily and Rachel's families. We need a confession, Torres said during a call on October 1st. If Emily can get him to admit he targeted her for the money, we can nail him. Emily agreed to wear a wire. On October 3rd, Nathan returned to their apartment, all apologies and charm. I'm sorry, babe, he said, as recorded by the wire. Your mom's trying to tear us apart. Let's start over maybe. A honeymoon at the cabin. At 8:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with Emily's text. He's talking about the money. FBI's ready. By 9:12 p.m., she texted again. Got the confession. They're arresting him now. That the news broke on October 6th in the Albany Times-Union. Local man charged in multi-state fraud scheme. Nathan's mugshot showed a defeated man, his charm gone. Bail was set at $600,000, unattainable, with his accounts frozen. Emily came over that day with pizza, looking like she'd shed a heavy weight. Torres says Nathan could get 10 years, she said, slicing a pepperoni pie. The evidence is airtight. How do you feel? I asked. Betrayed, but free. I was so blind, Mom. How did I miss it? He was good at what he did, but you're stronger than he ever knew. She nodded, tears welling. I'm sorry for shutting you out. The wedding, the cabin, everything. I was awful. You were manipulated, Emily. That's not your fault. You're here now. We spent the afternoon flipping through old cabin photos, laughing at her childhood ponytail and my terrible 90s perm. It felt like we were stitching ourselves back together. 6 weeks later, the trial began. Emily testified alongside Lily and Rachel, exposing Nathan's calculated deception. A surprise witness, Nathan's cousin, revealed he'd helped Nathan research Emily's finances in 2023, before their chance meeting at a bookstore. The jury took 2 hours to convict Nathan on fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. He was sentenced to 11 years and ordered to pay $6 million in restitution. Emily's victim impact statement was fierce. Nathan Hayes didn't just steal money, she said, staring him down. He stole my trust, my family, my sense of self. But I'm not broken. I'm stronger because of this, and I'm taking my life back. Outside the courthouse, Lily and Rachel hugged Emily. You stopped him, Lily said. He can't hurt anyone else. Agent Torres shook my hand. Your daughter's courage made this happen. As we walked to our cars, Emily stopped. Mom, when I find the right person, someone who loves you, do I want to get married at the cabin, barefoot by the lake, fairy lights in the trees, just like I dreamed. I'd love that, I said, my heart full. Driving home, I thought about the girl I'd raised, kind, fierce, resilient. Nathan had tried to break her, but he'd underestimated us both. The cabin, our bond, the truths, they were ours again, and as Emily smiled beside me, I knew we'd rebuilt something unbreakable. Some gifts, like truth, change everything forever. I'm taking my strength back, one truth at a time.